On the ninth day of Christmas, my true love came to me. Nine. Excuse me, while I take out the lyrics here. Ah, nine ladies dancing by the Rider Pony. Again, it was dark, but the day Twilight was prepared. As her winding up alarm clock hit 7:30, a miniature ball of artificial sunlight emerged from the top. Though insignificant compared to the real thing, it still lit up the room brighter than any candle or lantern could. As she rose from her sleep, she glanced at the adjacent window. Despite an entire day passing, it was still as dark and oculated as it ever had been. She sighed silently. Apparently other ponies were on higher priority than she was. Her practical mind agreed that it was the most efficient decision. With the snow resisting everything from magical fireballs to simple telekinesis, clearing it would be like running to wrap up, but only with harshly reinforced rules. Without magic, her only other contribution would be organization. And for once, the mayor seemed to have that well in hoof. Plus, the castle stores were well stocked with provisions, in case of however unlikely event of a siege, so it was more than capable of keeping the interior livable despite the snow. Speaking of which, it was due time to refresh those enchantments. Foregoing her usual morning routines, Twilight made a beeline to the map and throne room. It being the magical nexus of the castle, she had chosen it as the ideal location to establish several large-scale habitation spells. With a wave of her horn, the previously visible spell matrices faded into view. Each was a large circle hovering in the air, composed of a myriad of shapes and colors, which conveyed details regarding each spell's purpose and condition. Seeing as several were already running red with low power, she canceled them so she could be cast again. The air recycling spell, as well as a wind generating spell and a dehumidifying spell, were all recast quickly and easily. However, the heating spell was still going strong. Twilight took a moment once again to wonder at its design. Spike had cast this one himself, using his growing knowledge of draconic sorcery. Unlike her spells, this matrix was driven directly to the top of the crystalline box. The indescribable runes glowed constantly, as a constant blast of toasty warm air poured forth from the open end. It was a marvel of magical engineering, and one she hoped to study in much greater detail once her unjust house arrest was lifted. She was startled from her thoughts by the sound of clinking and rattling coming up from the hallway behind her. She turned to see Spike wearing a white chef's hat and wheeling in a large cart of breakfast items. The upper level was stacked high with toast and bottles of various condiments, while the lower section held tray after tray of still sizzling ham bacon strips. Shirley poked her head out from a little door cut into the front-facing part of Spike's hat. He stopped pushing in order to both acknowledge Twilight and catch his breath. "Morning, Twilight!" he said. "Good morning, Spike." She took in his trays of food. "Is this for an unfortunate house guest?" "Yeah." He nodded as he snagged a slice of hay bacon that was about to fall off. He popped it into his mouth with a satisfying crunch. "I'm not sure what cows eat, but I guess it wouldn't be too different from us." Twilight nodded. "This should be fine. It still seems like a lot, though." "Oh," he started. "Guess you haven't been down to the ballroom yet today." "No," she admitted. "I've only just gotten up. What's happening in the ballroom?" Spike deadpanned. "I'll give you three guesses, and the first two don't count." "No," she breathed. "Yep." But, but how? We're completely blocked in, both physically and magically. There's no way more things could have showed up today," she exclaimed. He shrugged. "You can believe me or not, or just help me push these here you can see for yourself." He began pushing the cart once more in the direction of the ballroom. "And I don't think they take too kindly to you calling them things." The first thing to reach Spike and Twilight was the sound of music. It was a classical piece, something tangentially related to the holidays, but Twilight couldn't quite put her hoof on it. More surprisingly, it, despite sounding very much like instruments, if one listened closely, was clearly the sound of a bird song. The pair opened up the double ballroom doors to a stunning sight. The most noticeable thing was the dancers. 9 ponies, an equal representation of the 3 races, were dancing along the center of the ballroom door. One stood apart, occasionally barking instructions to the other 8. It appeared to be some sort of ballet, or something equally acrobatic. The cows had also doubled in number, and were watching the performance from the opposing wall, safely out of reach of the kicking legs and gliding jumps. The birds, numerous though they were, had apparently somehow been corralled into a decent musical accompaniment, even though the trunks of 45 geese and swans were providing the low notes to the collective song. Fortunately, some pony had left golden rings in a large pile by the doorway, and several had slid away. One caught in the trail of Spike's trolley, causing it to tear and tip. Twilight quickly stabilized it, but not before a tray of hay bacon slid off, crying loudly on the crystal floor. The noise spooked the birds, whose song abruptly devolved into panic cacophony. This distracted the dancers, several of whom suddenly looked towards landings, falls, and one unfortunate pair collided head first. The unicorn began giving a direction, spun around, fire in their eyes. Yo! Zeke declared angrily, as he singled out Twilight with a pointed hoof. Her pale yellow mane was done up in a tight, professional bun, and her flawless orange coat was only slightly faded with age. Her key mark was a pair of crossed ballerina slippers unpointed. She barked right into Twilight's face in a frustrated huff. Do you have any idea how hard it was to get the blasted birds to sing together? She demanded, near spitting in Twilight's face. She turned back to one of the other ponies to bark an order. That's right! Get them back in line! One of the earth ponies, rubbing her head, stopped to attention. Yes, madame! Of course, madame! She raced over to where the largest congregation of birds was without a moment's hesitation. The angry madam turned back towards Twilight. No. Who are you, and why are you here? Twilight's gaze guarded. I could ask the same thing. This is my castle, after all. Unicorn faltered, and her gaze wandered Twilight's back, apparently having now noticed the wings before. Twilight gave them a quick ruffle, just to make sure she saw them. The new mare's anger quickly transitioned to shock, followed by terror. She immediately prostrated herself on the ground. Your Majesty, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. I did not recognize you. Twilight sighed, still not happy with the fact that her alicorn status had on ponies who didn't know her well, even when it stopped them from being angry at her. Please, it's all right. There's no need to bow. You didn't realize, and I made a mistake. Raise your head. The unicorn froze, but still made Twilight's gaze. Now, back to who you are and why you're here. Of course. The previously imposing unicorn practically trembled in front of a princess. The ponies and I are part of the Royal Canterlot Ballet Studio. I am their instructor, Margaret Ponyton. We were practicing last night, rehearsing for our holiday performance in 2 weeks' time, when we were suddenly hit with a wave of fatigue, all of us at once. When we awoke, we are here. She gestured to the halls around her. So, you just arranged music and kept practicing? Twilight gasped, both curious and surprised. Yes, what else could we do? I had to keep my girls in safe and on their hoof tips. She quickly turned her back to her students, as the old anger returned. Do not shout just because the music has gone! Practice your stitches until the Vaser can restore the birds to order! She turned back to Twilight. I am sorry about that. You'll have to be strict as they will slack off. Twilight nodded hesitantly in agreement. I suppose so. Anyway, I'm very sorry for all the trouble you found yourselves in. But until the ponies outside can get the snow cleared, you're entrapped as here as the rest of us. She sniffed disdainfully. It matters not. This place is as good as any for my girls to practice. Spike put his cart forward a little. Well, as long as you're here, I brought breakfast. Ponytail regarded to the little dragon briefly, before once more turning her back to her students with a shrill whistle. Alright, ladies. 15 minutes break for breakfast. A team of pirate ponies headed over quickly, as Twilight and Spike backed away. Within moments, the cart was ravaged by hungry ballerinas. Despite their petite statures, they tore into the food like starving terminal wolves. Spike sighed as he watched all his hard work get scarfed off, and realized he had to prepare nearly twice as much for the cows. They hadn't even been served yet. Feeling a wing on his back, he caught Twilight's gaze as he indicated to put a little more distance between them and their guests. He followed her until the sound of dancers eating faded to a dull background noise. Spike, how did he get here? Twilight asked in a frenzied whisper. How should I know? He rebutted. Same way as everything else, I guess. But we're completely cut off. There's no way in or out of the castle, magical or otherwise. Except dragon magic, he pointed out. Right, she acknowledged. But what dragon do we know would want to kidnap ponies and fill my house with them? That's not even taking into consideration the birds in the trees! As Twilight vented her spleen, Spike put a claw to his chin as he gathered his best deep-thinking expression. This was starting to feel a bit familiar. But how? He knew it might involve draconic magic, maybe. It also involved lots of unwarranted and useless items stolen in the castle. It was just on the tip of his brain, but he couldn't quite put his claw on it. Something must have kick-started the whole process, right? When did this only start? Well, they only got it after one pair of trees a day. It goes to the Miserable Grove, where most of the birds have reconvened. 9 trees. So that's how many days it's been. So what happened 10 days ago that could have started everything? Wait, hadn't that been when... Spike, are you okay? Twilight interrupted, concern obvious in her voice. Yeah, just thinking, why? Oh, she sighed in relief. You're making this terrible face. I thought you were having an attack of some kind.
Hey, Twilight, what was that thing you were telling me about the other week? He ventured curiously. That Pinky told you while she helped you decorate?
What? Her little heart-warming pixie myth? Twilight asked in surprise.
Yeah, that. Didn't you say the pixie was supposed to be half dragon or something?
She sighed. Yes, Spike, I did say that. But it's a myth. I read from a book how the myth was brought to Equestria, specifically and intentionally. It's just an old story, nothing more.
Isn't that what they said about Nightmare Moon?
Twilight paused, torn between herself for a moment, before shaking her head. It's not the same thing. This is completely different, she rationalized. Whoever is behind this, however they're behind this, I guarantee you it's a simple, easily explained answer, which will satisfy all our questions without having to resort to mythological creatures which definitely do not exist.
Time is up!
Fighters threw swords and crackled across the hall.
And then on they go places. Vive suffer the top!
The birds went back into their chorus, magnitudes louder than they ever had before. Spike and Twilight covered their ears and slowly quickly teleported them back to the map room. Over there, they could still hear the sound of music and Ponytail shouting, "Wrong! Again!" at some mistake. Spike grumbled as he turned back towards the kitchen.
In any case, I'll get started on breakfast with the cows then. Hopefully those dancers will eat all this too.
He turned back towards Twilight with a grumpy expression.
For both our sakes, I hope you figure this one out soon, Twilight. Our supplies aren't going to last forever.
In the distance, they could hear Ponytail yelling at some point in particular. The high notes of her voice rang off like crystal in a tuning fork. Twilight held her head as she felt a migraine coming on. If our sanity even lasts that long! 10 hours of sleeping. Twilight did not wake up the next morning. In order to wake up, she would first need to fall asleep, a feat she found utterly impossible. The ballet instructor's voice had a particular quality to it. Even if she could not make out words, Twilight could still somehow hear the tone of her voice resonating throughout the crystal of the castle, carried far and wide, audible at a barely perceptible level in every nook and cranny. It was inescapable. From the lowest cellar to the highest tower, the incessant sound had haunted her. So she spent the night where she always did when she had a headache, the library. Even there, the noise haunted her. But it was at least bearable between the soothing covers of her books. She spent the night studying. Anything that would be relevant. Anything at all. Her limited selection of books on draconic magic, a slim few volumes on unexpected teleportations, the entire self of mythology. Though the rational part of her brain hurt to admit it, Pinkie Pie's heart-warming pixie was rapidly becoming the most plausible explanation of her situation. True, Nightmare Moon had also been considered a myth, but her legend was primarily passed on word of mouth, with little to no records or writing about it. Heartwarming Pixie, on the other hand, was easily indexed and researched across multiple sources, so you could trace the legend's date and reason it was introduced to Equestria. Now it had been changed and modified during and since then, so you could produce pages upon pages of art depictions of the Pixie, soaring with specific variances based on reason and age. A bit of digging, so you even found the supposed origin of the myth. An ancient Minotaur hero who supposedly slew a dragon, formed its hide into armor, and retired his local guard to deal out punishments to misbehaving youth of his village. The Pixie couldn't hold a candle to Nightmare Moon. Still, the thought worried about her. No one had believed her about Nightmare Moon. How could she be one on the wrong side of history? Still, she researched every option available. She even eventually began to suspect it all of being Discord's elaborate pranks, before she remembered a conversation she had with Fluttershy several days before when she had come to see the birds. Apparently, despite strongly being on the road of redemption, Discord still strongly refers to the holidays. To quote Fluttershy paraphrasing, "All this ecstatic cheer and felicitous goodwill played havoc on his sciences." And he was spending the holiday safely in his pocket chaos dimension. So did not sleep. Twilight did eventually fall into a trance-like stupor, where she sat staring at a single page for over 2 hours, rereading the opening paragraph. This was how Spike found her the next morning, staring at the page like Pinkie Pie at drying paint.
Twilight?
He shook her shoulder.
Twilight, you awake?
What? She shook herself out of the stupor.
You spent the whole night in the library. Again.
He sighed. She rubbed her eyes wearily. Sorry, Spike. I just couldn't get to sleep, so I spent the whole night researching.
Find anything?
He asked. Not really. I don't know enough about draconic magic to really analyze if it's even being used here. Previously recorded events of spontaneous teleportation are widely different than what I've seen here. Most of these legends are either ridiculous or contradictory. This doesn't make any sense.
Speaking of not making any sense,
Spike begun. Oh no.
Oh yes, we got more guests.
In addition to the music, Twilight and Spike could hear arguing emanating from the ballroom as well. The scene they opened the doors to was worse than yesterday. The number of ponies seemed to have tripled, and the chaos was greater than before. Two sets seemed to be dancing still, while another was bouncing about aimlessly. For some reason, they seemed to have springs attached to their shoes and were moaning helplessly. "You there! Unicorn by the door! Please help us!" The laser pony or Grayman called out. "These springs seem to be attached to keep bouncing, and neither of those bickering unicorns over there will help! Please!" Instantly moved by his plight, Twilight halted him and bounced compatriots in midair. Removing the springs, which continued to bounce on their own in a corner, she set the ponies back down. The one who spoke closer to her. Meanwhile, Spike headed off to see what the dancers were arguing so loudly about.
"Thank you so much. I don't know how much longer we could have stood that torment."
He thanked her profusely, nearly in tears. After a moment, he regained his composure and checked over his familiarly faded companions.
"Is every pony all right?" "All right. Every pony other than the paper purser. Once he finished spoiling his breakfast in the corner? Good. Okay then."
He turned back to Twilight.
"Well then, I suppose proper introductions are in order. My name is Legal Notary, Vice Mayor of Tryhelm. These assorted ponies of me are some of my assistants and very other office staff."
"Let me guess," Twilight interrupted. "You all either went to sleep or collected passed out in your office, and then woke here mysteriously, with no other clue regarding your arrival."
That's exactly right," he exclaimed. "How could you possibly know that?"
She sighed. "You're not the first pony that's happened to. Same thing happened to the Royal Canterlot Ballet yesterday, and the herded cows from Minneapolis the day before."
As he spoke, Spike retook his place by her side. "Also, the Maidenhead Ballet Corps," he added. "They just arrived today as well. Same story as every pony else. Passed out during your rehearsal and woke up here. No one from the Canterlot troupe saw them arrive, however. Apparently everyone in this room passed out simultaneously as well. Also, it seems the head instructors from schools are old rivals or something. They've been yelling at each other about proper interpretations and a bunch of stuff from the past for a while now."
Twilight nodded thanks before turning back to Notary. "As you see, this is an ongoing problem we're dealing with. We're working on solving the issue and restoring every pony to their homes as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we're currently snowed in as well, though we are in communication with the ponies outside."
"Dying gratitude. Many thanks, Princess. We'll try to be hospitable guests during our time here, and cause you as little trouble as possible."
Twilight smiled. "Thank you. Now, if you excuse me, my assistant and I will see about getting something to eat for every pony." Twilight turned away and began walking down the hallway. Spike hurried to catch up. As soon as they turned the corner, her regal posture and demeanor fell away as he slumped down. "More ponies?" She murmured disbelief. "This isn't possible!"
"Well, Dragon Magic does get through the barrier," Spike reminded.
She shook her head quickly. "No, Spike. I made sure to run a magical scan on one while I was removing their springs. Not a trace of draconic magic on them anywhere. As far as I could tell, they were all pure Earth Pony bureaucrats. Nothing strange or out of place at all."
"Well, it could still be Pinky's Pixie. You said legends varied, right?"
"No!" she housed out. "I recently refused to believe that the cause of this is Pixie. Even now, the facts and data are starting to contradict that theory. And what lack of dragon magic, a clear and repeated trait in near all the legends." Spike sighed as he walked towards the kitchen.
"Fine, believe what you want, but this Pixie's sounding more and more plausible to me. Could you at least help me with the breakfast, please? We're going to need some powerful growth spells, or else our one hay-bacon tree isn't going to be last feeding this many mouths."